While recent reports of illnesses caused by vaping have many concerned about the lack of regulations on e-cig products.
Just last week, the country saw its first reported death that may be tied to vaping, and it happened right here in Illinois. Joining us this morning for a deeper look into the issue is Dr. Trevor Lewis from Cook County Health. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Not a problem, thank you.
So we mentioned that a lot of words of may, could be. There's a lot of uncertainty about this. What do you know about this death in particular, or about these alarming deaths and illnesses that have happened across the country?
Correct. So there's been several of them reported, up to about 200, and this is throughout the United States. The concerning thing is they can't pinpoint one specific agent or one specific device. But vaping in general, the concern is it's used a lot by young adults and kids. There's lots of products. These products aren't regulated, so no one sometimes knows what they're actually inhaling or vaping.
Oh, wow.
Is it just tobacco products we're talking about, or is it THC as well?
It's tobacco and THC. There's even other products besides that. Some people have been pointing to THC, the oil of THC, that might be the causative agent, but no one knows for sure. And the scary thing is, without regulation, there's things sometimes in these mixtures, formaldehyde, propylene glycol, diacetyl, some of these chemicals that are in there, no one knows the acute effects and no one knows the long-term effects.
There's some vague responses we're kind of getting from the CDC about this. Do you know why there's some trepidation there and what they're going to be ruling or talking about or advising us on?
I think the trepidation is because they can't actually identify or single out the agent that's causative of this, because there's so many vape products and vape mixtures. They're looking to see, is there one specific device or agent that is causing this.
Aren't they coming forward like they do with cigarettes, though, where they make a blanket statement and they put it on the labels right there? Are they apprehensive about doing that blanket across the industry?
That would probably be my read on it, is yes, they're probably apprehensive about doing that across the industry, but vaping is a big concern. You get younger kids using this. It's an easy way to deliver nicotine, and people see that this vaping can actually be a gateway to smoking again.
And what are some signs of this vaping illness? How do we know if we have that, or if your child has that?
So what ends up happening in the cases that they've seen, people will complain of abdominal pain, diarrhea, but then they'll become profoundly short of breath, difficulty breathing, chest pain. And the hard thing for physicians is we have a lot of cases of asthma, pneumonia, other illnesses that cross over. So there might have been even more of these illnesses. We just didn't know that's what they were caused from. So that's probably the concerning thing.
Proponents of vaping, sorry, Brandon, to cut you off there. I was just curious. Proponents say, look, I'm trying to ease off of smoking. Vaping is this natural bridge on down. I know a lot of people, our viewers, might be doing that as well. What do you say to those people who think that that's going to be okay for them?
For someone who is smoking and they have no other way to stop smoking, it's probably a reasonable alternative. But once again, nobody knows the long-term effects. These things have been out for the last 5 to 10 years. No one knows what's going to happen in 10 to 20 years. When smoking was first introduced, look at what's happened 10, 20, 30 years later after smoking came out.
For sure.
And you mentioned high school age kids and younger people doing this. What should parents know? Is there anything parents can do at home if they think their kid might have this illness, or think their kid is vaping?
Sure, I think it's one, talk to them, and two, recognize it. You don't want to turn a blind eye, but you really need to be on your kids and see what they're doing, who they're hanging out with. And when you see these devices, they're very small. They're hard to pick up on. They look like a cartridge or a USB drive that you'll plug into your computer, but you need to recognize what they are and then have that talk with your kids.
I think one of the concerning things is that, people say, oh, I only vape every now and then, or I don't do it regularly. With this death and illnesses in general, we don't know certainly if it's an acute thing, whether a couple of uses can spur this on, or whether it's chronic, right?
Correct. The thought is it's probably with chronic use, but the problem is with a delivery mechanism with nicotine, it's so easy to use that it's easy to habituate and start using this a lot.
What is it that you guys at Cook County are doing to help educate about this and fight this?
So I think the big thing is just first realizing that it's out there.
Yeah.
And I think as physicians, just starting to ask these questions. We always ask, well, do you smoke cigarettes? Do you use tobacco products? I think you have to ask specifically about vaping or e-cigarettes. Do you use those? A lot of people probably aren't asking, and we probably don't realize the full impact of it yet.
Yeah. Dr. Lewis, thanks so much for stopping on by. We appreciate it.
Important first step, definitely, and getting this issue out there. So really appreciate you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely.